Hello and welcome to The Entrepreneurs on Monocle Radio, the show all about inspiring people, innovative companies and fresh ideas in global business. Today's programme is all about innovation, from tabletop to timekeeping. First, we'll meet the luxury event caterers to many of the world's leading fashion brands and VIPs.
It's all the development. We love that process. The best time is like when we do the tasting and we see the clients and they're like, oh my God, this is amazing. This is exactly what we wanted. That for us is like the best satisfaction.
Then we'll head to Switzerland to meet the owner of a Zürich-based watch brand focused on local craftsmanship.
We are the only watch brand based in Zurich, and we did also the first watch in Swiss German.
This is The Entrepreneurs with me, Tom Edwards. You're listening to The Entrepreneurs. Josh Bradshaw and Charlie Karlsen are the co-founders of Opus 11, a luxury catering company known for creating high-end bespoke dining experiences. With an impressive roster of high-net-worth clients, including major fashion brands, creatives and celebrities, Opus 11 delivers unique events that focus on blending culinary excellence with innovative presentation, pushing boundaries and setting new standards in the industry. So, how do you deliver a Michelin-star restaurant-level experience in the context of event catering? Well, Charlie began by telling me more about the business.
We are a luxury catering company. We provide food, we provide beautiful drinks, we provide amazingly trained staff. We're just there to provide a really elevated experience for our clients. So, falling into that category, we then come into a world of fashion, high net worth clients, trying to recreate something you'd experience in a Michelin star restaurant. And that's kind of like our aim with everything we do.
And I guess one of the challenges there is that it's hard enough to reach those levels when you're in control of everything at the same premises with the same staff. And the challenge, I guess, is that you have to be able to adhere to those standards whilst being constantly presented with new operational difficulties, right? That comes with the territory. How much of a challenge is that?
Yeah, I think that's probably our biggest challenge, and being able to bring in people that are able to do the job to the highest standard, and also make sure that every single event is the best possible event. You're only as good as your last event, and bringing people on that are as passionate, as creative, and also be able to give the best of themselves in the best of the event. It's tricky, but we manage it, and we manage it by bringing in the most incredible people. We have the most amazing team, and that's something that we are most proud of. It's our biggest achievement, is our team. We're nothing without them, and an event doesn't happen, or any of our work doesn't happen without the person in the kitchen washing, without the chef, without the person putting together, without someone driving to the event, without someone packing the crates, and then people actually executing the event on the night. So one thing I find with it's great that we're able to do these things and be able to talk about the brand and really sell the brand, but there's so much more. There's such a bigger extension of the brand, and that's the incredible people that we have in our company.
And tell me a bit about, as the business has grown, in a way, I guess, whilst you're probably doing a lot more work at the outset when the operation is smaller, at least you can kind of be more hands-on because it's slightly more manageable. As things have got bigger and bigger, you necessarily have to start delegating, and you have to rely on your ability, I guess, to communicate your values to all of those key members of staff. Was that a challenge, or did you find actually, because of this keen interest in getting the right kinds of people, that actually you've always been able to do that?
Yeah, I think the main thing is finding the right team. Like, that is number one, because without a team, you're nothing. We can't do it by ourselves. So finding the right team and making sure they're passionate about what they're doing, because they're going to translate that into everything they do. That for us is key, is hiring correctly.
And also, we used to pack the boxes. We used to drive the van. We used to do everything. My biggest struggle last year was when we brought in the director to actually start running the company, and I suddenly had to hand off all of these things that I used to do, and I was quite annoyed about it. Even though it was to benefit us, it was benefit the company, I really struggled for a couple of months to kind of to get to terms with that. But it's obviously for the best, and it allows us to do other things. I'm now business development and finance, and Charlie is the creative director, and those roles have been really, really established in the last year.
We found it so hard to actually step back and be like, okay, we're not doing that anymore because there's someone there to do that, because we were so used to just doing everything, as Josh was just saying.
Well, no, and I guess when you care deeply, right, you don't want to lose those reins to a point, because you worry that people won't have the same sensibility. And just to that point, where did you guys refine your aptitude for these things? Because you were kind of doing other stuff and you worked in hospitality, as so many people do. But talk to me a little bit about that, because I often think it's interesting when people do kind of their other job and then it kind of turns out that that's their job. Talk a bit about that.
Well, you don't realise, but you experience hospitality every day of your life when you're walking into a cafe. When I've just literally been for lunch at Chiltern, and it's such a beautiful experience when you walk in the door. And you just have to apply that to the other side of it when you're planning, just hitting those key points. In any luxury sector, you kind of, I don't want to say you either get it or you don't. You can teach it, but from the offset, you do either get it or you don't. It's like the little details, everything, like from the minute you walk in the door, that interaction can change someone's whole day. And like the service that you get, I literally just experienced it now, and I feel great. I'm coming in here with such a good energy.
You were beaming. When we met you.
I had a great time just for the last hour. So yeah, for me, that's super important.
Also, to go back a bit more on that question, I think because we are from a creative background, we were actors before this. Charlie was in musical theatre, I was in film and TV. And your job, a lot of the time, you're not acting, as most actors aren't. And we were working for other companies. We were waiters for a lot of different catering companies all over London, 6, 7, 8 different catering companies I worked for before we set up Opus 11. And that really teaches you so much. It teaches you what's good, it teaches you what's bad, it teaches you what to do, what not to do. And we really started kind of working on our craft then and realising that there was a real gap in the market to do something a little bit different and to kind of take the industry by the reins and, kind of step it up a little bit.
Well, let's interrogate that moment, because I often ask, you've probably heard me, probably bored of hearing the question, but this sort of eureka moment, or the difference in entrepreneurial folk from spotting maybe a gap in the market, but then having whatever that quality is that makes you say, hey, do you know what? Let's actually do it. So you're working, you're probably thinking almost every day, oh, this could be done better. What galvanizes you to then actually do it? Because it's a big risk, and we know most new enterprises don't work out. So did you always have that in your mind, or where does that sort of zeal come from?
Yeah, I think when you say you could do it better, I think that we worked for some incredible companies, incredible catering companies, so amazing. And we just found ways that we thought we could do it differently. And I think what's different about us is that we are very, very modern. Our food's very, very modern. Our drinks are modern. We do things in a very different way. Our menus, we just wanted to kind of bring it up to date. And it
felt really stagnant for a long time, I feel, the industry. And I think that's something that we wanted to change up. And, going back to your point, it's like every day we were, working for these different companies, and we were like, oh, I'd do it that way. Oh, if we were running this, we'd do it that way. And then it's just really beautiful for us to now decide what happens and kind of like change the industry, because it has, as I was saying, like been so stagnant for a long time. And that's what we're bringing to the table now, and why I think we've done so well in the last few years. We're really proud of what we've created, and I think it comes down to that, really, like changing things up. We can make the rules now, and it doesn't have, just because something is, oh, you do it that way, you can change that up. And
it's that idea, isn't it? Yeah, challenging expectation. So tell me, so you have that moment where you're taking the best of the best you've both experienced and contributed to, giving it this different twist. Then I guess it's when the creative conversation starts. What's this brand going to be? What's it going to be called? Take us back to those moments. What was that process like?
Oh my God. We were going to mix our surnames together. It was going to be Karlsen. Oh my God. There was some disgustingly terrible names.
Really bad.
Really bad. And then Opus came into the equation, which was a horse I had growing up. Makes it sound very lavish, but it wasn't. It was just a horse in a field in Tenerife. But yeah, so we thought it doesn't really feel complete, just Opus. So then we added 11, which is our anniversary.
And we say it's our anniversary, but actually that was kind of a little bit of an afterthought, because we were chatting. I was talking to my nan back in Bristol, and I said, I've got this, like, we've got Opus, but Opus is not enough. We need something else. I'm thinking of a number. And she was like, what's that film? I was like, what film, Nan? She was like, that film, Ocean's 11. I was like, oh my God, that's it.
The genius of Nan strikes from the West Country.
Incredible.
And then we looked at the meaning, and it means creativity on a large scale. So it was like, okay, this works. But do you know what? The name is actually really important because it's the first thing that like a client or anyone sees, isn't it? It's the name. So I feel like we're really proud of the name. We really love the name.
We love it.
And listen, it obviously now stands for so many of those values that you were aspiring to deliver, things that I guess you felt you could reshape. And that must be amazing when you start to work with, and let's get into the weeds of it, the caliber of clients that you have enjoyed, which is a testament, I guess, to their faith in you, but also your consistency of delivery, because we know that in luxury, high fashion, not necessarily the most forgiving of markets if you don't nail every detail. But did those kinds of clients, I don't know, sort of fall into place, Josh, or were you always thinking that's the caliber and that's the kind of place we need to be operating to be effective?
Yeah, because we worked with companies that worked in these sectors, we saw at firsthand what they want. And we then were approached as soon as we opened up Opus 11 by Matches Fashion, which is no longer with us. And we were asked to go to their townhouse and open their cafe. So we opened their cafe, and obviously in Matches, they have many, many rooms and many, many brands that came under them. So all the brands came to Matches and they were like, who's this caterer? And eventually we were like, oh, it's Opus 11, and obviously they'd never heard of us. So we kind of really had to work super hard to try and get in with these people. And as soon as one brand, especially with the LVMH brand, which own a lot of companies, as soon as you're in with one, then they kind of do trickle in, which has been really, really great for us. And all of our work was word of mouth. We've never gone in and pitched for things. We've never done any paid advertising. We just carried on and did the best work we could, and people came, which has been amazing.
We always dreamt of having these clients. Like for us, when we opened, we were like, oh, we'd love Cartier, Chanel, Hermes, and it is really amazing to sit here now and have all these clients on our roster. But yeah, as Josh was saying, like it was really organic when we first started. It literally started as, it matches fashion, and it just literally it's just been like a little, London's best kept secret, and now it's not.
Not so well kept. Talk to me a little bit about catering, literally and metaphorically, to the very specific requirements of these clients, because I guess part of what you guys do is challenge them a little bit, and you're trying to innovate and to be original. But obviously, these are brands that care so deeply about heritage and story, and I'm interested in terms of what's that balance like, both from sort of business perspective and then from a creative perspective. Are those things in opposition? The drive to be innovative, playful, maybe a bit challenging, disruptive even, but to be respectful for all of that heritage. How do you balance that?
Yeah, I think that's one thing that we push, definitely, but we do need to be careful. And with these brands, obviously the history of these brands are just incredible. You look into so many of these brands, and in the story is just so beautiful, and you obviously want to really work with that and move those stories along and take into consideration who's coming to these events and what their collection is about, especially in the fashion industry. So there are certain brands that we can push and say, let's do something different, let's be disruptive, let's do something cool, let's do a CBD brownie, or let's do a mushroom drink, which we're bringing out a new range shortly. And there are brands that you can do that with, and there are brands that you can't. And we are the people they come to for when they can push things, but we also know when to pull back on it.
And just from a creative point of view, I often think that many creatives, in whatever their stripes, can do their best work precisely when sometimes the constraints are quite pronounced, because you've got to be so rigorous, you've got to be so smart with what you can deliver. Or if you have a blank canvas, of course you can do anything.
Yeah.
Is that the most satisfying work, when actually it's quite a specific and focused brief, and you can still find a way to flex your creative muscles? Is that the best work, do you think?
We love it when we get a creative brief. Like myself and one of our head chefs, Julian, like we thrive off it. It's all the development. I love the development because, one of our clients was like, we want to make a skateboard canapé. We're like, what? Like,
go on.
Okay, that's going to be really tricky. And this took like so long to develop and make work, but we did it, and it was like such a hit. Like it went down so well. But we love that process, and the best time is like when we do the tasting and we see the clients and they're like, oh my God, this is amazing. This is exactly what we wanted. That for us is like the best satisfaction. But I think that comes from the passion that we all have for like what we're doing, because equally, like if something doesn't work out, we're like, oh yeah, that's not great. But
honestly, watching them in the kitchen work, it's art. it's just so amazing. I go in there 2 or 3 times a day, but to pop in to heat my lunch up or something and just watching them, it's really,
Can't
really...
you get them to rustle you up something?
I know. Well, they do once a week when they're not so busy. But it's really amazing watching them work because the passion and the creativity that these chefs have, it's honestly, it's eye-opening. It's amazing.
And each brand is like trying to, give the best experience for their clients. So, we could be doing something down the road and be like, you see what you did down there? We just want to do this and we want to make it even better. Like, it's because they're just trying to make each experience so unique. So we're faced with a different challenge every week, which is exciting.
No, and it's funny, you're very diplomatic because I thought you were going to say each brand is trying to outdo one another. But of course, they don't demean themselves with that. They just want to serve their clients better. That's a very important difference. Let's talk a bit about high net worth individuals and your private clients, because one would imagine that, I guess, the way the relationships are built, the brief, the objectives are probably wildly different. But maybe not so much. And we can name drop a little. I know you do a lot of work with Elton John, for example. Is it, I mean, he's a heritage brand in and of himself, right? So Is it kind of the same? Is it different? Is it more fun? Is it a different challenge? Tell me a bit about it.
Yeah, I think with those briefs when they come in, we've done a few things there at the house, and every single time it's a different creative, and we can push as creative as possible on all of those points, and make it as outlandish or not outlandish as possible. Every single private client is completely different. Some want beautiful, gorgeous canapes, some want ridiculous sets with insane food in, or we've really done everything on the private sector. But they're always the most fun because they always give you a lot more license to do whatever you want and kind of tell them what is cool and what they would like to see.
Yeah, and there's normally a little bit more budget involved, so we can really go for it.
Do you have to say no? I'm just thinking about, when it gets really outlandish, or I can't remember, you said insane, adventurous. Is that part of the discipline? You want to say yes to everything, right? That's the business principle, but presumably just because of the laws of physics, whatever it might be, you might have to say, have you considered this direction? How do you manage that?
Look, we're kind of like the yes company, and that's what we're known for, and that's what gets us, well, never into trouble because we always make it work, but like we say yes, look, we're going to try and make this work, and 9 times out of 10 we'll make it work.
Okay, it's a pretty good.
We'll go with that.
Good hit there. Okay.
I would say almost 9.5.
Maybe 9.5.
Yeah. 99 out of 100.
99 out of 100 we make it work.
Listen, I imagine that one of the attendant challenges, especially when you've been successful pretty quickly and innovative but respectful, all of these tricky balancing acts. They say imitation is the most sincere form of flattery, but presumably, therefore, other pretenders say, oh, we'd like a bit of this Opus 11 action, we can do ... How's that managed? Because I know some of your partners also want to make sure you quite literally, legally, no one else can do it, or you can't do it for another client. And that struck me as really interesting. I've never really seen, this sort of trademarking, menu ideas, this kind of thing. Talk to me a bit about that, because presumably that's a reflection of how well things are going, but it's a crazy thing to think about.
Yeah, this year it happened in March for the first time, and the brand came to us and said, we want you to create a bespoke menu, and we don't want this menu being used anywhere else ever. We're just going to make it, and then we're going to scrap it. You're going to put it through the shredder and never show anyone. And we did that. And we obviously charged a fee for it because it takes a lot of time to put together these menus and then never to replicate them again. But we have done that quite a few times since. And the whole trademarking a menu, we talk about it now because it's brilliant. It's actually a brilliant concept. So because people are going to these events, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 events a year. This week we've got 12 events on. So if people are going to these events every single night and they're going, especially the PR companies and press, they don't want to be eating the same food everywhere. That's why we always say, if you ever see us make a elderflower spritz, you can just chuck it back at us. Because
okay, we'll hold you to that one.
Everyone says that. But we want to be showing people new things, and that's just a brilliant way of never showing it again.
Same for us.
Is that tricky then as a creative? Because you, I guess, gradually now, doesn't that start to constrain the possibilities that are available to you?
It does, but we change our menus so much. Like, we change them seasonally, obviously. We're constantly adding new drinks to our menu. We're constantly developing new ideas. So we're giving our clients different options. So it's never going to be the same choices. And we also, like, for us, like, when a client comes to us, we advise them, like, we think you should go with this. Like, let's say, in brackets, the experts, So, like, lean on us to, like, explain the menu and make the choices. So we try and push that.
A couple of last things quickly. Now, this is probably an unfair question. It's like asking people to choose favourite cats, favourite kids. We know you shouldn't try and put people on the spot, but is there a single, I don't know, project or one menu or even maybe one moment once when, I don't know, you guys must have just caught each other's eye and been like, this is what this was all about? I mean, can you pick one out each just to give us a sense? Because I think it will, I don't know, something tells me you guys would do well telling these stories.
Well, I'm going to go first because I think Charlie's going to say it. We went on tour with Beyonce last year and we did all of the catering for Ace of Spades, Beyonce's tour, travelling around the UK. And that for us was a moment.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. Be like, what are you up to at the minute? So we're on tour with Beyonce. You know what I mean? It's just kind of like, okay.
It's kind of the same conversation that I had. Not so much. And so can you, I don't know, it's kind of good, I guess, that you've been on the journey together all the way through, because that must be like a kind of pinch yourself thing. But I sense you guys are probably quite good at keeping each other grounded and making sure you're not getting ahead of yourselves.
Oh, yeah. I mean, like... We literally started this in our living room, and it's quite funny because we were literally in each other's pockets the whole time. But now we're quite separate. I hardly speak to Josh throughout the day because we're on separate sides of the business.
It's really nice.
It's really.
I was going to say, this is how business and personal relationships work best, right? Just set the scene for us. What are you most excited about going forwards? You don't need to divulge any big strategic secrets or happenings, but as we look ahead, short term, long term, have your pick, Josh. What is the thing where you're like, I just can't wait to get stuck into this?
Sure. For me, it's growing the team and getting to spend every single day with the people that make the company the success that it is. I get so much from going into that building every day and seeing everyone happy and seeing everyone get on so well and work towards a common goal. And it's for everyone. It's not just for the owners of the company. It's so that everyone can just have a really great life whilst they're with us.
Oh, that was pretty good, Charlie. Go on. Got to follow that one.
I don't really know how I follow that one.
What he said.
Yeah, exactly. What he said.
I guess even in terms of that creative expression, it seems like you have lots of freedom, lots of responsibilities, of course. Is it partly about making sure you're continuing to, I guess you've got to take time to get inspired so you can think of the next great innovation.
But you know what? Everyone says, oh, like, well done, you guys, you know, what you've done, and it's so creative. But as, you know, leading on from what Josh said, like, it is a team effort and it is a whole thing. Like, it's not just us. Everyone's involved in decision making in the company. And that goes down to like the Instagram post to like, I'll voice it with head of ops, be like, what do you think of this? Because everyone's so creative, everyone's so young, everyone's so dynamic, everyone is passionate. And as I was saying earlier, like when we hire, that is so important for us. And it comes down to what we're producing and it's really exciting. So for me, walking in that building, seeing someone come back from an event and be like, the client's so happy, we smashed it, it was great. Like that gives me so much joy.
It sounds very joyous, this office. It might have to be seen to be believed. What's next? I'm sure it will have piqued our audience's interest. And bear in mind, they're all around the world. What should they be looking out for?
Yeah, we've just got our visas back and we're opening in America. So that's what's
it's
next.
The big story. So watch out stateside. Opus 11 is coming.
Yeah.
Gents, listen, it's been absolutely fab. Charlie and Josh, Opus 11, going from strength to strength. Thanks for taking some time out of very busy days to come and chat to us. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
That was Josh Bradshaw, the CEO of the 11 Group, and Charlie Karlsen, co-founder and creative director of Opus 11. You can find out more by heading to opus11.co.uk. You're listening to The Entrepreneurs. Maurice de Mauriac is a family-owned luxury watch brand known for its handcrafted Swiss-made timepieces that focus on locally inspired designs. Monocle's Tom Webb headed to Zurich to meet COO and second-generation owner of the company, Leonard Dreyfus, to hear more about the business and the importance to operations of their atelier in the city. Leonard began by telling Tom a little bit more about the company's history.
We are second generation. I'm Leonard Dreyfus. I'm 28 years old and I took over the business of my dad. He founded Maurice de Mauriac. We are the only watch brand based in Zurich. If you know watches, they're mostly produced in the Vallée du Joux, in the French-speaking part, and we are unique because we have an atelier and produce locally and putting the watches together in our nice atelier in the banking area in Zurich. It's called Enge.
And how old is the business now?
The business is nearly as old as me. It's 27 years old, but my father was a former banker and he was in business for almost 40 years.
And do consumers love the fact that you are the only Zurich-based watch company?
Yes, I think that's something unique, and we did also the first watch in Swiss German, in the local dialect. It's called Zürich dialect, and the weekdays are in Swiss German, which means Montag, means Monday, etc. So it goes all the week. This is something you have to imagine, 300 years of Swiss watchmaking, and nobody has done it in the Swiss local dialect, because most watch brands, they're not interested in the local market, but we live from the locals, so we wanted to give something back and created this watch. It has even more to do with Zurich, because the colors of the dials are the local trams colors. So we have the green is number 8, red is number 2, yellow, like what I'm wearing, is number 13, and so on.
And has it been a popular product?
Yes, this is one of the most popular products from us, but I think we have a nice brand and we do nice watches, so we don't have only one product which everybody wants. That's, I think, a good thing. We have nice watches for everybody, so you can really choose what you like the best.
And you also have the larger timepieces. You do wall clocks. What's so special about those?
Yeah, wall clocks is unique because some people don't want wristwatches, and wall clocks everybody can use and can have. So we have one bigger one, where is the brand also bigger, and one more, we call it more designed one from the designer Fabian Schwärzler, who is former Vitra designer. He did watches with us, and then we created also this L clock for lines, because there are just lines on the watch, and this is called L clock.
And how is the analog watch market? Is it growing again?
Yeah, I mean, the mechanic watches, I think they're never going out of time because they're timeless. And always people ask me, is the watch sustainable? I say it's the most sustainable. A mechanical watch is nowadays the most sustainable product there is, because you can repair a watch from 200 years ago, and if you buy today one, you can repair it in 200 years. So this is, let me know, one product which is still the case.
And what other features are people asking for? Do they want it to be waterproof? Do they want it to go deep down without even breaking?
Yes, it really depends. I mean, normally the people don't go with a luxury product. They don't go into water. Some take a shower with it, etc., take it to the sauna or something. But I mean, watches are stories, and 300-meter waterproof watch is just a good story, and it feels good that you know it could go there, but I think 99% of the people will never go diving 300-meter with a 300-meter waterproof watch.
And are you working towards any other new products?
Yes, of course. I mean, we are a young, dynamic family, so it's always something new coming up. And we have some interesting products coming up. We did watch Rally Master, which is for tennis tournaments, and there will be a Rally Master 3.
And how can consumers find you? You have a physical presence, an online presence?
Yes, so we have an online shop, and if you are in Zurich, it's a must to visit us in our atelier, where you can also book watch courses to learn more about mechanic watches. You have a private watchmaker where you're going to unassemble and then reassemble in a private session with the watchmaker, or shop online.
That was Leonard Dreyfus, the COO of Maurice de Mauriac Zurich, in conversation with Monocle's Tom Webb. And you can find out more about the brand by heading to mdm-watches.com. And that's all for this episode of The Entrepreneurs. We'll be back at the same time next week. Do look out for Eureka, available every Friday. The programme was produced by Laura Kramer, with audio editing by Jack Dewars. You can listen again and find out more about the programme at monocle.com. That's where you can also join the club and subscribe to Monocle magazine and read more about better businesses every month. You can also follow us and catch up with the archive wherever you get your podcasts. To contact the team, email Laura on lrk@monocle.com. I'm Tom Edwards. Goodbye, and thanks for listening to The Entrepreneurs.